Hello, 911 emergency. There's a handsome guy in my house. Oh, wait a second, cancel that. It's only me.
Cartoons.
I honestly was not really looking forward to rewatching Johnny Bravo. It's a show that does not age well with its premise. This show came out in the 90s, when the world was a very different place. I mean, the premise of this show is Johnny Bravo trying to hit on a girl in almost every single episode. With how the political climate of the world is today, you could not make this show today. By the way, I haven't seen this show since probably 2009. Maybe the reason that I wasn't so looking forward into going back to Johnny Bravo was because the character Glenn Quagmire is based off him. That's what people claim, but after watching Johnny Bravo again and comparing it to Family Guy, that's not exactly the case. Sure, Seth MacFarlane worked on Johnny Bravo and Family Guy, but more on that later. You see, Glenn Quagmire is a guy that has sex with pretty much any woman, and it's always been done in manipulative and disgusting ways. He also has sex with animals and dead girls. One episode, he had sex with a minor and became a registered sex offender. But he doesn't get 20 years of prison because his mother had sex with the judge. And there are several episodes after that with Glenn trying to go after minors. I stated this before, but Glenn Quagmire is my least favorite character in all of animation. Maybe someday I'll make a video dedicated to Quagmire on why that is, but we're on Johnny Bravo today. A character written as a sex pervert is not an easy thing to write in today's world. It's one of those things that was made in the 90s that wouldn't work in today's world. Now, does that mean I hate Johnny Bravo? No, the exact opposite is true. Because I think the show Johnny Bravo is really, really good. It's a lot better than Dexter's Laboratory. That show I had high expectations going into this marathon, while Johnny Bravo not so much. But yet, me having low expectations for the show kinda helped out in the end. Because I was expecting so much out of Dexter's Laboratory and it disappointed me. While Johnny Bravo I didn't expect much and it actually surprised me. In terms of going after girls, Johnny Bravo doesn't succeed. I mean, he's not married by the end of the series, so there's that. But it's a good thing for him. And I think one thing that does work besides this all being animated is that each time that Johnny gets beaten up, it's done in different scenarios. One thing to keep in mind in comedy is doing the exact same joke over and over again will damage your show. Subversion and surprises are key to comedy. If you play the same note in a song, people will not like your song. Sure, the most obvious joke of the show is Johnny showing off and failing and getting beaten up, but you'll notice that the girls don't just beat Johnny up in the same way. Sometimes you'll get realistic examples that people have done, like spilling their drinks on him or a simple punch or a no. But other times you'll have a girl put Johnny into a Christmas stocking and throw him around, or him in the head with a bunch of coconuts. Or you could have a French girl beat him up. I guess that's what makes Johnny better than Glenn. Glenn succeeds in every bad thing imaginable with no consequences whatsoever. Johnny technically does serve consequences, but it's rare for him to do something really bad. At worst, he just goes up to random chicks that don't know him and shows off his abs. It's not like he's actually grabbing or raping them. And when I started this review, that's what I thought that the whole show was just gonna be about. The show, however, decided to prove me in every single way that I was wrong. While the premise is still the same, that's not what every episode is about. What do I mean by all this? Well, one episode is called Barely Enough Time, and it's about this bear named Kronos that has the ability to control time. I argue that he could save the day and not have any problems with Johnny, but when you've been sleeping for a whole while and you've been rudely awakened, you can't really think right away. Yeah, there are a lot of episodes with talking animals. I honestly thought that Johnny Bravo was supposed to take place like in our world, but about a guy constantly getting beaten up by women who reject him. That is not the case at all in this show. A lot of episodes have celebrity cameos. I mean, the final episode of the show has Shaquille O'Neal and he uses Johnny as his good luck charm, but Johnny's cool with it though. This show had 2 Christmas episodes that were really good. The first one involves Johnny beating up Santa by accident thinking he was a burglar, and so Johnny is forced to deliver all the toys in the world in one night. And he succeeds. Santa even warns Johnny at the end by next Christmas he will have his revenge. And so how does the second Christmas special go?
Hey, Santa, it's me, Johnny. Remember I'm the one that beat you up last year because I thought you were a burglar?
Johnny, hold out your hand. No, I can't say I recall that incident, but from the sound of it, I think that was called for.
Yep, pretty much. This show is weird. I mean, Johnny himself is based off of Elvis, to the point that Aaron City is named after Elvis, which is Elvis's middle name. Sad that the best thing about Johnny Bravo is when it's not trying to be Johnny Bravo. That honestly kills the concept of your own show, which could make it hard for people to like your show. It's sad when the best thing about your show isn't what your show is trying to push. In Dexter's Laboratory, the best thing about that show wasn't Dexter's Laboratory. It was the dad and Mandark. In my last Cartoon Network 64 episode, I said that the concept of the show does not determine the quality of your show. And Dexter's Lab was a show with a fantastic concept but a terrible execution. Johnny Bravo is the exact opposite. It's a show with a terrible concept but a fantastic execution. There are a lot of episodes that I found fun. There's an episode where Johnny goes to Ireland and he tries kissing a leprechaun.
Pucker up, shorty.
I tell you why he's trying to do that, but I think it would be more fun if you found out on your own. I'm not here to tell you what goes on in every individual single episode, but I can give you a bunch of examples. There's one episode called Hip Hop Flop where Johnny becomes a hip hop artist.
Oh, mama.
Whoa, mama!
Now everybody in the house, scream!
Beach Blanket Bravo has a groovy dancing shark who tries tricking people to go into the water so he could eat them.
Hi there. My name's Martha Washington. Wanna go for a swim?
Some episodes are weird experiments. Lodge Brother Johnny has him join a cult. Oh, I'm sorry, the Brony fandom.
Welcome to the herd, son!
And another one, Bootman, has Johnny Bravo becoming a superhero. I don't mean the time that he faked being a superhero to help little Susie pass for a show and tell project in Super Dupe, which involved Johnny going up against this weird clown named Sweet Cheeks. That also had a kid cheering that the bank was being robbed. Also, the cops left when Johnny said he could take care of it.
Cool! The bank is being robbed!
No, I mean that Johnny actually becomes a superhero. Like, he can actually fly and interact with other superheroes in space. Oh, by the way, one of the first episodes of the show, Johnny Bravo and the Amazon Woman, literally has Johnny meet up with over a dozen Amazon giantesses. Picking a favorite episode was hard for me to do, because I had some interesting candidates. There's the Scooby-Doo crossover episode, which was a fun crossover. It's more or less every Scooby-Doo crossover since the 1970s, but add Johnny Bravo into the mix. And I love Scooby-Doo, except for that one time. Another good Johnny Bravo episode is where Johnny dates an antelope, and she only dated Johnny to get back at a crab. Yes, this was an episode. And with that title card, you wouldn't be mistaken if you thought that Johnny was a furry. But if I had to pick a single favorite episode, I'd pick the Adam West episode, because this one is special when it comes to Cartoon Network. You see, the Adam West episode was written by both Seth MacFarlane and Butch Hartman. And whether or not what you think of Very Odd Parents and Family Guy, they both had Adam West as an actual recurring character on their own shows. And Adam West was written really well in both of them. Now, Johnny Bravo wasn't the first Cartoon Network show to use Adam West. Like I said in my Space Ghost review, he appeared on that show as well. But I think that Johnny Bravo has the best version of Adam West. The characters in Johnny Bravo, I honestly wasn't that big of a fan of. I mean, Johnny Bravo is my favorite character this time around, unlike Dexter, who I couldn't stand or he kept getting abused. And the other Johnny Bravo character that I love is his mama. Her real name is Bunny, but everyone calls her Mama. But Johnny really loves his mama. He'd do anything for her, and throughout the show, you can see that these two really do have some great chemistry. Both Christmas episodes showcase that the two legit care for each other. Heck, in the Adam West episode, Johnny got Adam West for help in thinking she was kidnapped. Though she wasn't, but the fact that Johnny Bravo actually cared for her shows a lot. Other than that though, the cast is just there. I didn't really hate anybody, they were just fine in my eyes. Little Susie is fine, she didn't do that much for me. Though I honestly could never figure out why she started hanging out with Johnny besides being her neighbor. It just feels random to me. In one episode, It's a Magical Life, Johnny explicitly states that he wants a Susie-free weekend. And he would get that after he chaperoned for Susie to see a magic show. Not every episode of Johnny Bravo, by the way, is good. The most notable ones are the ones that focus too much on the women more or less mocking Johnny. For the show's formula to work, they need to just be there and be an object. But then beat Johnny up. It's worse when they try to focus on them in a more serious light. Oh, you see that, kids? That woman who became a strong woman is a representation of how women should be. Because all strong women can grow 2 times their size to be up men. But we'll be talking about my problems with strong women as a whole when I get to my South Park rant later this year. Though I don't know how serious I'm supposed to take the women in this show when a woman judge gives Johnny 86 life sentences and throws him into a female prison. Jailbird Johnny is the name of that episode. The worst episode of the show is Witchy Woman, which I heard is divisive. To be fair, how it starts off is actually good. In fact, Johnny becoming a girl and his experiences with are actually fun to watch. And Greg Griffin doing the voice works real well.
Hey there, pretty mama!
Well, that was new. Now what's a frumpy yet oddly attractive chick doing in my mirror? And why is she playing Simon Says with me?
Nah, the episode all falls apart when it gets to the song, which makes this more insulting than the Loud House's awful take on Rule 63 characters in One of the Boys. No, Witchy Woman isn't as bad as One of the Boys because at least Witchy Woman can be funny, but since I'm near the end of this video, let's talk about this song because this song bugs me.
You think that men are
pigs, I say we all know that's a fact.
For the episode's safety, I'll assume that she means that just Johnny thinks that and not the actual message.
So listen to me, sister friend, cause I now have your back.
Okay, but what is your name?
They think they've got it going on, that they're a work of art.
Are you implying that all men are straight and into women?
Don't pay them any mind and they will feel that girls are smart.
Oh yeah, because not minding them automatically means that they won't try to rape you.
You think that you are something fresh? I know that you are cool.
Oh no, didn't you hear? Many women usually put themselves down and end up getting stuck in abusive relationships and have their own self-esteem issues.
That girls are smart.
This is the song's message. Girl power! I get it, there's nothing wrong with feminism, but this here is an example of its bad tropes. But you usually want to push feminism without putting down men. In this song, men are more or less basically Johnny Bravo stereotype. They exist to bone other women.
Because the last thing that they're checking out is Jenny's brilliant mind.
I mean, this episode came out in 2004. Shouldn't we have been past the stereotype by now that all men want to bang women? Sure, gay marriage wasn't legalized yet, but that doesn't mean that all humans were straight and men just want sex. Weren't there men and women from the 2000s that were asexual and / or aromantic?
It's time for you to use a little of your common sense.
Oh, I will once you do.
Use martial arts or pepper spray, it's all in self-defense.
Oh, now I see what they're doing. Remember the infamous rape whistle?
What is that? It's a rape whistle.
Well, it's basically that, but as a song now.
And with that strength, you'll also know girls are smart.
After Johnny learns the message, he reverts back to a man and basically forgets the lesson entirely and tries to even hit on the women who sang the song. For this marathon, I'm not going to review every single show in a row and no other videos. In fact, after I am done with all the Cartoon Network shows of the 1990s, I'll be taking a break from the marathon and doing some other videos. The very first one is the top 25 worst songs in animation, and this song has a guaranteed spot on that list. Like Dexter's Laboratory, Johnny Bravo also had a TV movie, Johnny Bravo Goes to Bollywood, which was released in 2011. Unlike Dexter's Laboratory's TV movie, I don't know if this really counts for the franchise. For this marathon, while I am watching every single episode of each show for the reviews, I am not watching things that are left field and were away from the franchise. So unfortunately, I didn't have time to watch this movie. I'll give it a watch in the future if you want me to for like a Ryan review to see if it's good or not. I mean, Johnny Bravo ended in 2004 and this movie came out 7 years after the franchise ended. On top of that, this was made in India and America. So it's technically an Indian film. No one really talks about that. And I didn't have the time to watch this movie. I mean, Johnny Bravo took a longer time to get its own movie more than Drawn Together did. Drawn Together took 2.5 years to get its movie. Johnny Bravo took 7 years. And it was mostly made in a different country. And I gotta say this about Johnny Bravo. Not the movie, not the show, just the character himself. I'm gonna say it. He's sexy. Any chick that turns him down for his looks, I never got. You want to date me, Johnny boy? I'm here. I'm a pansexual gender fluid. Guys are hot. As for the show, I give this a pass. It's a good Cartoon Network show. No clue if it's gonna make my top 10 favorite Cartoon Network shows of all time, or even my top 10 favorite 90s cartoons, but it was fun to watch. I don't think that I'll rewatch this when I feel like it. I don't usually watch 90s cartoons in my free time unless I have to. Usually I stick to mostly 2010s cartoons on rewatch since they're easier to find and I'm more familiar with them. But Johnny Bravo is a good show. Give it a watch if you want. Now let's end this review with everyone do the monkey! Do the monkey with me!
Coming up next.
Carrot chicken!